Hi, in this video I'm going to show you a couple of things that I use quite frequently when auditing SQL Server databases as well as Azure infrastructure. And this is mainly the result of a post that I'd done recently where I explained how the public role inside of SQL Server can be used to cause denial of service attacks, so to speak. And I figured that it was quite popular, and I thought we should probably explore a little bit more in terms of how Azure needs to be implemented and secured. The common misconception among a lot of people is that when they use Azure, Microsoft takes care of everything. And while that's true for a large number of cases, there are certain areas where they don't understand your use case in detail to be able to make practical decisions that would actually be useful. And as a result, Microsoft somewhere in April had released some documentation explaining security best practices when using Azure. And having gone through it, I figured we should probably compile uh, it into a more easier way to understand. And as a result, I came up with this PPT, which I thought I'd publish once I'm done with it. So you'll see that when it comes to working with Azure, you got different areas that you want to lock down. For example, you got the database if you're using SQL Server databases or even data warehouses, the data itself, which is usually your keys, Azure Key Vault, storage, etc. You got your virtual machine again because you got networks and RDP connections, firewalls, etc. Networking again here is your firewall rules, your access control, and also IAM is your identity management in terms of users, DBAs who are supposed to log in, admins, etc. Operational is again the rest of the stuff, standard stuff like deployments and connection strings, etc. So you can see that there are actually quite a bit of domains or areas in which you want to focus your implementation of security. And today I thought I'd discuss the stuff that they want you to go and lock down when working with databases inside of Azure. So in this case, I'm just going to show you Azure SQL databases, and as you can see in this particular case, we've got a couple of things that they want us to do. The first one being that we need to go ahead and enable auditing in the database so that we can identify who's logging in, who's logging out, what are they doing, and that will help us kind of not prevent an issue, but definitely track what happened and do a root cause analysis more efficiently. You also have threat detection, which is again available at the server side as well as the database side. This is again for things like random brute force attacks for passwords, for denial of service attacks, things like that. And then you have the firewall configuration, which is kind of the most basic step that you have to be doing inside of Azure, and even now a lot of people get that wrong. In spite of all that, then you also have the mechanisms available to protect data at rest as well as in motion. So at rest would be things like cell level encryption, and in motion would be things like always encrypted. And this is kind of standard stuff that you want to do with Azure, but the problem that happens is a lot of the cases I see there are hundreds of databases on tens or hundreds of servers, and it kind of gets troublesome to keep track of all these environments. And the way that I do it is what I want to show you today. So I have a PowerShell script that I execute, which I'm just going to go ahead and show you over here. I'm not going to show you the whole script because again I use this for my work, but at its core what it does is it creates a report of all the environments that I have and the stuff going on in them. So let me just go ahead and run this for you real quick, and you can see that basically I've got verify and report, and I've got fix or exit. So if I choose verify and report, I get a report of all the services that are running enabled, and this is specific to the databases, the stuff that we just mentioned right now. And what this does is it goes through each and every resource group and identifies any servers in the resource groups, followed by inside those servers what are the databases, and then it checks for different PowerShell commandlets which check different aspects of it. For example, I guess you can see right now we've got threat protection, etc., etc. So once the script runs, what it does basically is it creates a folder inside of your C drive, and you'll have the summary, the CSV files, and they're appended with a timestamp so that you can kind of have a track over a period of time how your environment behaves. So let me just go ahead and show you the output, and I guess that will kind of wind up this video in terms of how PowerShell and how these tools can be utilized to audit your Azure infrastructure structure and make it more secure. So the first thing I have here is let me see. So this is my database model. So it shows me the databases I have, the resource group that I have. So you can see I've got one basic database and I've got the master database. They're both online. They're created in South Asia region, and they were created sometime in 2019, 11th of July. So that gives me a status of my databases, a very basic check, just a health check on databases, something that I look into every day. Then you can see I've also got audit enabled, so I'm just going to go ahead and open that real quick. In audit enabled, again you can see I've got my databases, I got the server name, and in this case you can see that audits are disabled at the moment, so that's something that I want to go ahead and then enable to protect my database. You've also got database threat settings, so this is something that again is a feature that's available, and I want to go ahead and look at the status of my threat detection. As you can see, again I've not enabled it, so that's something I want to go ahead and enable. We've got server threat, and again over here you'll see that server threat also, I've not really enabled server threat detection. Again, I've not enabled any of these because the next video I want to show you is how to go about enabling these things. TDE is obviously enabled by default, so I don't need to do anything special there. But again, I'd still like to know that TDE is enabled, so you'll see here for my database TDE is enabled. The last and the most important one, the one that I mentioned earlier, was the firewalls. And what you want to do is you want to go ahead and look at this list and make sure that you don't have any open ports. So you'll see this 0.0.0.0. That's all good if you're using allowed Azure IPs, but if it's anything else, you've got a problem and you want to go ahead and fix that. And again, you got the range, etc. And this kind of gives you an idea about where all the connections might be coming to you from the internet. So just these 4-5 CSV files should give you enough of an idea about where you stand security wise with your databases. In the next video, what I'll do is I'll go ahead and enable all these features and run the report again to show you that everything is hunky-dory. I hope you've enjoyed this video. If you'd like the script or if you'd like more information, please feel free to subscribe and drop me an email and I'll get in touch with you as soon as possible. I hope you've enjoyed this video and thank you for watching.